Okay, so today we're gonna have a discussion about recommitting to active self-care. Would you take one and give to one each? Thank you. Last week, some of you were here and got the handout on goal setting for 2022. If you did not have that handout, take one of them. That's from last week.
Thank you. I'll get your name on it.
And that's fine. And the idea with that handout is to help you have some idea of where you are relative to wellness.
This was last week.
Next week, the lesson is going to be on holistic health care, and it's totally different than you would imagine. But the real question is, how healthy are you? I want to just show you this concept. The concept is 100% all the way down to dead. I've told you that I recommend for you to get a B. A B is about 82%. When you have that level of health, you can consider yourself pretty healthy. Most people will grade themselves much higher than they really are. And that test will help you get a grip on where you are. Now, right now we have a lot of people, in fact I'll give you some stats. Insurance companies last week admitted that they've had a 40% increase in death rate with ages 15 to 65. 40%, they're paying 40% more claims than they've ever paid before because people are dying from, they blame it onto COVID. It's my opinion that most of the people who die with COVID were already lower, way lower than they thought they were. And even the local mortuaries in Idaho Falls, they've had about a 40% increase in funerals this last year because of the death rate. So what's happening in reality is we have a lot of people who are sick, who are getting COVID, and it's killing them. So where does that put us? Puts us in the same bracket as everybody else, and that is we should assess ourselves, get some idea of where we are, and then do things more attentively, more focused, to more of our body upscale. Now, in real life, this is what generally happens with an infant. If we have an infant who's born relatively healthy, that's within the 82% or above category. They first start to have, I use small m's, minor problems with minor organs. That's when a baby gets a skin rash, they spit up, they have problems with the tonsils, little things with the little areas. They get constipated, so they're already down here. Then if they don't get corrected, say they're age 1, 1.5, now they have trouble walking, or they walk with the foot out, or they can't walk. And the pediatrician says, oh, they'll not grow it. If they can't walk, they're now having a major problem with a minor organ. Or, I'm sorry, they're having a minor problem with a major organ. Bones are organs. You know that. We've talked about the bones making stem cells. Bones are very, very important as an organ to function in the body. So if a person has postural problems, motion problems. They can't crawl, they can't walk. When they stand up, they're crooked. They always like to lean one way. A lot of babies like to only nurse on one side or lay on one side. That's that kind of a problem. And then by the time they get teenagers, now they're having sleeping difficulties. They're having gut problems. They don't have an appetite. They don't want to do sports. They'd rather sit and play game or watch TV. And so they're going downhill, down, emptying in the bucket. The book talks about the fullness of the bucket. The bucket is draining. And we get down further, we have minor problems with major organs, and finally have major problems. We have major problems with major organs. Now, if people have diabetes, what is that? Major problem with the major organ. What if they have heart problems?
Major problem.
What if they have kidney problems? So we could have a discussion, and there's no real right or wrong, but we could have a discussion on what is a major organ and what is a minor organ. And we could have a discussion of what is a major problem, what is a minor problem. And most people who I see don't want to talk about the problems. They like to, even though they come for help, they like to give the impression that they're way better than they really are. And to me, that's unfortunate because of what's happening in our society. We all need to be very vigilant right now in becoming more healthy and do everything we can. So today, do you have a question?
Well, I was just going to make a comment about lifestyle right now. My grandson is 11, and he's on a football team, and all his little friends drink energy drinks.
Yeah.
And, you know, and teenagers are doing vaping now at a really young age.
So what they're doing is they're jabbing holes in the bucket, big holes. Energy drinks are one of the worst things that have happened to our society because it's artificial. My grandfather used to say back on the farm, way back years ago, you never whip a tired horse. And that's what those people are doing. And they will never be healthy doing that kind of thing. I've had a lot of adult patients who do that. They drink Red Bull and they drink all those energy drinks. And you know, if you've been shopping at all, they're everywhere. You can buy them by the case and they promote them. Even athletes professional athletes promote those kind of drinks. We see them on the TV all the time, and they're in my opinion, they're evil because they're in direct conflict with the body's health. So today, the discussion is twofold. One, I would like to elevate your belief system, your faith, and your body's ability to heal, repair, and regenerate. So at the top it says, these are a few gifts to you from divine for survival. I would like you to underline the word survival of the temporal body. Survival occurs down here, down low. As we're going to talk about in a few minutes, you can function with 25% of your total kidney capacity. You can function at 25% of the lung capacity, 25% of the liver capacity, the parathyroid capacity, the brain capacity. God has given to you at birth all of these, I'm going to call them built-in programs. When you came as a baby, you came by divine design. Now, that means much more than you just look like a human. You just look like a God. No, it means way, way more than that. If we were to say, okay, let's build the body, let's write out an order for parts. We're gonna build the body, okay? If you want to build the body, you start out with, we need 206 bones. And all of them are different. They have a different design. So we can go to the shelf and we can pick up a bone and say, you know, this is the end of the thumb. This is the part of the nose. And this is the little toe. All of them are different. Then when we have that 206 bones, we now need to hook them together. To hook them all together properly, to build a standing, balanced, aligned structure, we need more than 800 ligaments. Ligaments are small amounts of tissue that are very, very, very strong, and all they do is connect one bone to another bone. So we stick the bones together. That's just to begin. No, we're not going to make a parts list because we would never get to the end. And then what happens with that poor little baby at birth, they're not fully formed. They're only half formed. When a baby is born at 9 months, they're halfway through development. It's going to take them another 9 months to continue to develop. And that development is under divine design. Then we get medical people involved and they say, oh, that baby's deficient. Science has decided that we need to give them vaccinations. So now medical science has jumped in to get a child properly vaccinated with all the vaccinations. How many do you think they have to have? Do you know, have any idea?
8, 12, I guess.
More than 16.
Oh, gee.
More than 16, and many times they give them to them at one time.
Yes.
They combine them. Because science says the body is not smart enough to function properly without that. And that's a lie, okay? The lie is the body is not sufficient to survive on its own. I know you can get into the discussion about all the diseases that have been eradicated. That's part truth and part of it's deception, because many times they change the name of the disease and say they cured it, and all they did was change the name. So what is one of the main programs that comes with the body, the baby at birth? The brain. And the brain has conscious and subconscious. The conscious mind is what the baby uses to figure out how to navigate and negotiate through life. The subconscious is automatic. The subconscious records everything that happens during pregnancy, everything from conception. The music the mom listened to, the words that the dad said to the mom. And right now, if you've been reading the news, you know that the pregnant women in the United States have a very high death rate. I don't know if you know that or not.
I didn't.
And it's highest among black ladies. And there's a big article in the paper about it this week on why they die. Why did they die? Homicide. That's the #1 cause of death in pregnant black women. They don't die because they get sick, they die because they get shot. They get shot by their boyfriend or their husband who thinks they've been fooling around, or they don't want the baby, they get in conflict and they kill them. It's a very big problem right now in the United States. Okay? And the subconscious picks up all of that during pregnancy if the baby lives. Now, that also, that part of you, the conscious and subconscious, communicates with your spirit. So when you pray for inspiration, you get inspiration, it comes into your conscious and subconscious mind. That's a very tight-knit relationship that's established by the Creator. Now, we add to that the peripheral nervous system. That's the part of the nerves that move things. You have motor nerves, like when you want to make a fist. Those are motor nerves, you think about it and you move them. You have sensory nerves. Those are the nerves that carry messages back to the brain. And there are many, many of them. For example, we'll talk in a few minutes about the tongue, special senses. The tongue has the ability to tell the difference between sweet and sour and bitter, okay, and salty in different parts of the tongue. And that message from the tongue is carried to the brain. Yeah, and most of the body is run by the autonomic system. That's the parts of you that work automatically with you never ever having to know about them. You don't have to think about them. They operate from birth. They operate from before birth and go on throughout your whole life. Now you have the glands. With glands, I would like to have you think of hormones. Hormones are the balance with the nervous system. If we ask doctors, who runs the body? Is it the brain or the hormones? The doctor would say, well, that depends on your age. If you're 16, it's probably the hormones, okay? And if you get older, you get imbalanced. So, and the hormones come from all these different glands. In a few weeks, we're going to talk about the different glands and how they work. But they all have specific duties that they're required to do, starting at the top. The thalamus, the hypothalamus, the pituitary. I would like to have you think of them, because you're members of the church, you can think of them like the bishopric. They run the ward.
So the endocrine system does run the brain?
No, they correlate.
But it does, I shouldn't say run the brain, but it affects.
Let me back up and change my words. Let's say that we have the bishopric, 3 members, that's the brain. And we have the Relief Society, that's the hormones. And what do?
They work together.
They work together.
Okay.
And they always work, they always should work together, and they should work together in harmony. And one should not dominate. Now we're going down, we have the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system does not get decent share of attention because you can't see it. Its lymph is clear, but you have more lymph than you do blood. And the responsibility for lymph is to cleanse, to purify. I should mix doctrine with physiology, but it's kind of like the Holy Ghost. It has the ability to clean. It cleans out the big stuff that the blood can't get, the veins can't get. It sucks it up, and you have lymph nodes. How many? More than 600. Who designed that? God. So if we had body, we're looking for body parts, we would say, okay, we're going to build a body. We need 600 plus teeny cleansing devices, so that when the lymph flows through the lymph gland, the lymph vessels, we can clean it, because it's going to be dumped back into the bloodstream. And the lymph system is not simple, it's complex. It has The bones are part of it. The bone marrow, the spleen, the thymus, the tonsils, the mucous membranes. Now, the mucous membranes don't get much attention either, unless you have a snotty nose or coughing up crap. And that's what are they trying to do? Clean. They clean. So on the outside of your body, God gave you a layer of skin to protect you from things getting in. On the inside of your body, God gave you mucus to wash all of the inside cavities, to help keep, protect and clean. We've talked about the skeletal system, now the muscle system. Again, if we're looking for body parts, we need over 600 muscles. And they need to be of all kinds. We need to have smooth muscles. Smooth muscles, they're circular. They're what moves blood through the arteries. A lot of folks think that the heart is like a big pump that pumps blood through the whole system. No, the heart pumps blood to about 17%. All the rest is done by smooth muscle that moves the blood through the body to get it in circulation. And it's very, very efficient in doing that.
What are they attached to? The smooth muscles, are they like attached to the blood vessels? Or are they just the blood
They
vessels
are.
run through them?
They are. They go. The smooth muscles are circular, so they do this. You're all close to farmers. It's like milking a cow. You know, you grab all the teeth and you milk it. That's what they do. They move the food through the small and large intestine. They move blood through the arteries. Okay, that's what they do. So they're circular. They go around this way, and we have say 5 smooth muscles. They take turns. If you've ever been to Vegas and watched the pretty girls raise their legs up in order, they're
I've
all.
never been there.
What? Pardon?
I've never been there.
Or the Rockettes.
A what?
Or the Rockettes.
Oh, the Rockettes.
Yeah.
Same concept. Now the special senses. Now again, we're talking about this with, my intent is to give them more faith, more trust in your body's ability to survive, to do what it needs to do as a gift to you from God. You have your vision, and you know if you look at paper and you look outside, your eyeball changes and adapts very quickly in shape and size to what you need to line up the lens like a telephoto lens so that it stays in focus. Hearing, smell. You can smell many different odors. Now, I get one part of the problem that people have had who've had COVID or the vaccination and now have had their special senses screwed up. They can't smell, they can't taste. I've had people come to me that have had the shot and have been, now they say my brain does not work like it did before. Even people who have had COVID, they can't, words, we have a son who had COVID a couple of months ago. He's an attorney. He was up here and told me that it's like he's had words taken out of his dictionary. So when he's doing a legal report or something, he can't pick the word that he needs to put in the sentence because it's like it's gone. He has to work around to get it to come back.
One of the good things are on the other side of that is that because our bodies are resilient and can repair and can remodel, that if you deliberately stimulate those senses, say the sense of smell, it's being proven that all of it comes back.
Thank you for mentioning that. The medical word for that is plastic deformation. Plastic deformation. The brain has the ability to rebuild and take over. Even if you get shot, if you get shot in the head and have brain tissue damage, the brain has the ability to say, okay, so now the brain says, okay, we have a problem. Part of our brain has been destroyed. We now have this much brain left. They lost their ability to, like what I did when I had my stroke. When I had my stroke, I had brain cells die. I could not speak. I could not use my right hand at all. It took me about 2 years to develop new, I'm going to call them takeover brain cells. So now I can write, I can do things with my hand. My kids say my penmanship is improved.
I want to speak to that because it was interesting to me to watch him. I didn't live near him at the time, but from time to time I would visit and I would see him sitting at the table practicing writing with both his left hand and his right hand. And I thought it so interesting that his penmanship looked the same, like the characteristics, the inherent characteristics, like I could just look at it and say, oh yeah, he wrote that, even though sometimes it was messier and then it got neater, but it still looked like your handwriting.
Thank you. Okay, so on with special senses, our body has the ability to sense light touch, hard touch, hot, cold, salty, sweet, bitter. That last word you probably haven't seen before, U-M-A-M-I. That's a sense on the tongue. That was labeled by a Japanese doctor, neurologist, who said he used the English word would be delicious. That's the main part, the larger part of the center of the tongue. And that's the tongue, that's the part of your body that tells you when your wife says, would you your husband say, taste the soup, tell me how it tastes. If he says delicious, that's that part of the tongue sending the message to you and to the brain. Now you have the lungs. You have two sets of lungs. You have 5 lobes. 3 on the right, 2 on the left. Why?
Make room for your heart. I don't know.
Exactly. To make room for the heart. They each do the same thing. Each of those lobes. They're all independent. They do their own thing. You can take one lobe out, but totally just go there, go in and cut down, take it out, so back up. The other 4 would get bigger. They take over the job. Take 2 out, they get bigger. They take over. They pitch in. You can live with 1 lobe. Kidneys. You have 2 kidneys, 1 on each side. You have a total of about 1 million. They're called nephrons. A nephron is a very teeny, small mechanical device that separates the plasma away from the red blood cells and sends the plasma to the tubules. The tubules, you've worked at a potato cellar, right? You stand at a potato cellar and the potatoes come down. Your job is to throw the rotten ones out, take the big ones and put it over here, and let the main ones go by. The tubules do kind of the same thing with the clear part of your urine. It takes the bad stuff out and it goes down the this tract to the bladder. You're gonna pee it out. The good stuff goes back into the bloodstream to circulate back.
What do you think you could do to prevent kidney stones?
I know what you can do.
Hmm?
I know what you can do. God designed fruits to wash the kidneys. So apples are one of the best detergents. Apples in season help clean kidneys. Cherries help clean kidneys. There are other fruits that clean kidneys. Don't just
Cranberry.
rely on apples. That's why we're told eat a wide variety of fruits and vegetables in season. Now keep in mind, fruits clean, vegetables build, and multiple fruits clean multiple organs. Same with vegetables. They don't just do one. They do multiple. They have overlap. That's the way the body is designed. All of these systems are designed to work together. Now, I would like to have you write down the medical word. It's called synchronicity. Synchronicity. That means they all work together. In biology, they would call it, like when I talk about the zoo within you, if you have a healthy gut flora, it's called symbiosis. Sim means together. Biosis means life. They live together and they're friendly for each other. So if you have a healthy gut, if you have healthy gut flora, the healthy gut flora communicates with your brain that causes you to want good food. We talk about the young people drinking stimulants. When you put the bad things into your gut, bad things into your body, you have bad flora in your gut. The bad flora affects the brain and says to you, I would rather have potato chips with salt than a potato. I would rather have something really sweet that's artificial. I call it manufactured foods. Manufactured foods are craved by bad flora in the gut. Now I have had a number of patients tell me when they take the Flora Plus to re-establish healthy flora in the gut, they have a different desire for different foods, better foods. Does that make sense to you?
Didn't work for me, but that's
It didn't work for you.
Stay on it longer.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes it
Stay
takes
on
a
it longer.
long time to rebalance it.
Okay. Go back in my book and read the concept of the deep hole principle. It's again in the book. Deep hole principle. Many times, I'll talk to you about this right now. Many times you have a problem that's been there a long time. Like a deep hole out in the field. And you say, we need to fill up the hole so somebody's going to get hurt in the hole. So you start putting things in it. Maybe a deep hole. You can look down with a flashlight. You can't see the bottom. My parents were raised down by Grace and Thatcher, and they had a lot of those because of the lava rocks and the cracks. They would have a crevice that would open up, and they maybe 100 feet deep, and you drop a rock down and listen, and you can't tell where the bottom is. So you start putting things in it. Okay, and you say it's not working. Well, guess what? You haven't put enough in for a long enough period of time for it to fill up. That's called a deep hole principle. And many people your age have multiple deep holes. Sometimes they're mental, sometimes they're emotional, sometimes they're chemical, sometimes they're structural. So you have to keep doing what we know works for a longer period of time. Okay?
One thing to keep in mind too is anytime you take a course of antibiotics, it kills them all. And the first things that'll move back in are the bad ones instead of the good bacteria.
Exactly
So
right.
the more you've had antibiotics, the deeper your hole.
That's right. A lady called me yesterday, is having some dental work, and she said they want to give me antibiotics. Well, based on her status, it's safer for her to take antibiotics right now because her level is low. So she should take the antibiotics to protect her from being attacked by something much stronger. But when the antibiotic is done, then she's going to do the flora for a few cycles to build it back up, to build a friend flora. Okay, so now all of that's provided for you by God. And right now we have a lot of conflict in our world between, they call it science, but it's not. Trump called things fake news. We have a lot of claims that are made by marketers that are lies. So you can believe whatever you want to believe, but my encouragement is you trust the body more. Why? Because of all this stuff. It's a gift to you from God to help you survive. Okay, now let's go on to the bottom half. By choice, you can help yourself move upscale, fill up your bucket, plug up some holes, and increase your general overall level of health and reduce the chances of you dying with anything. You can choose to prepare how you prepare for and when you go to bed. Now that seems like a small thing, but in my opinion, it's a major issue. That's why I put it as number one. What is a good bedtime?
By 10.
10. How long does it take you to get ready for bed?
At least an hour.
Half an hour at least.
Half hour, hour,
10 minutes.
10 minutes? You're doing it wrong.
A little bit here and there.
I'm doing it wrong.
What?
Be ready.
Did you say that? Did you say I'm doing it wrong?
Yeah.
To relax, it probably takes longer.
Jump up every commercial and get something done. You know, brush your teeth and sit down and up and down and up and down and get your exercise.
You spread it around.
Yeah, spread it around. Start at
There's
9.
not a real right way or wrong
No.
way, but it does take more than 10 minutes. That's like shock till you drop, right? Go till you can't go any longer, crash and burn. You know, a lot of men do that. You know, I hear women all the time tell me, every time he sits down in a chair, he goes to sleep. Well, that's a sign. That's proof. That's not just a symptom. That's proof that the body is in deep trouble. You don't sit down and fall asleep if you're up here. You're way down here. And they may have no pain. Keep in mind, pain is a liar. You cannot trust pain. Pain is rarely an indication of the severity of the problem. Now, why do I say that? I say that because people who die with heart attack or stroke, for more than half of them, that's the first symptom. They're fine. You hear about it all the time. Even the people who are dying with COVID, they say, you know, they were perfectly healthy, 25 years old, and they died. They went to Ermac, they were there 4 days, and they died. They were not healthy. They're probably living on stimulants. They're not going to bed on time. They're not getting enough sleep. I recommend you spend whatever time it takes. Remember the song? about Saturday?
Well, maybe I don't know what else I need to do, cause all I have to do is take off my clothes, wash my face and brush my teeth and say my prayers.
Do you go right to sleep?
Yeah,
No.
prayers.
Not sometimes, not always.
Okay, well, I recommend you talk to your friends and maybe learn more about what you need to do. What do you do to prepare for
Well,
bed?
you know, my husband gives me a hard time because he says, "You ready for bed?" And I say, "Yes." And I start getting ready for bed. And he is like in bed before I have finished going pee.
Yeah.
But, you know, I take some supplements at bedtime. I will go use the whole body vibration for a few minutes to get neutral. I wash my face. I don't know. I kind of slow down all of my movements are slower, but it usually will take me about a half an hour between the time I say, "Yep, I'm ready for bed,"
Yeah.
to when I get into bed.
So,
I say my prayers. It takes time before I'm actually in bed, head on the pillow.
with the people that we talked to this week in class, I would recommend anywhere from a half hour to an hour. Why? Because you want to get your body prepared to get the best sleep you can possibly get, so that during the night you heal and regenerate and repair. I choose the type of bed, pillow, and posture for rehabilitation and remodeling. I see a lot of people have back pain and neck pain. I saw one this morning. She said, "My low back is killing me." I said, "When does it hurt the most?" In the morning when they get up? Well, that's a bed problem. That's a bed problem. The bed is not correct. The sleep posture is not correct, because it's created repetitive micro trauma every time she breathes all through the night. So when she wakes up, she's in trouble. Neck, low back, whatever. So you work and do whatever you need to do to get into a deep sleep and wake up feeling well. I choose what, when, and for how long to eat. How long should a meal take?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. I choose how much of what I drink. I've had men who had a professional coach of coaches. He had a business in Colorado Springs. His business was all across the nation. He coached college football players how to coach their teams. He had a high dollar. He made a lot of money. Every time he comes to see me, I would talk to him about his stomach. He was always taking Prilosec all the time. He ate Prilosec like candy. And they drink Red Bull like water.
Mm.
He consumed can after can after can of Red Bull. Now the bad news is he would never get healthy. And I told him that. I said, you can come to me and I'll help you with symptoms, but you're never going to get healthy unless you make a couple of really simple changes. That was one of them, two of them. I choose who I listen to and talk to. Now you all have family and friends, maybe, that you get around and you go, "Oh no, this is going to take a while." And they suck from you. And they drink, they pull from you, or they annoy you. Make that minimal. You choose to make that minimal. I choose how I sit, how I stand, and how I walk. Nobody can do that for you. That's up to you. Yesterday I traded the wife of a medical doctor who has had very severe arthritis. When she stands up, she can't get all the way up. but we've been working on it. And last night when I saw her, she proved to herself that she could get all the way up. I even took a picture of her from the side. I took a picture of her from the side with her standing neutral. And she saw the picture and she said, "Oh, that's like my sister," because her sister has good posture. But she didn't know. You have a lot of kids, they don't know. They're not taught in school. They're not taught good posture. They walk down the street over here today and tomorrow and every school day with backpacks, hunched forward with phone in the hand, so they have bad posture. They train the body to have bad posture. I choose the words I think and use. That's important because you can think words that are bad. It doesn't matter if you think them or say them, they have the same negative effect on you. It's possible to muscle test. Strong muscle, thinking of good words, bad word, muscle goes weak immediately. I choose where I travel and where I live. It's like the couple, middle-aged couple were getting married, and the wife said to the husband, "I'll let you make all the big decisions. I'll make the little ones." He said, "That sounds good to me. We'll get along just fine." And then she said, "Well, let's clarify what's big and what's little." If the U.S. goes to war with Russia and that makes an arms deal with China, that's a big deal. You can get involved in that. I'll do the little ones, like where we live and kind of car we drive and things like that. I choose what I believe in, and what I think, who I trust, who I don't trust. That's a matter of individual choice. What you believe has to do with the amount of faith you have. Although Bednar says faith is a decision. It's a decision. You can either have faith or not have faith.